we doing? How we doing? How am I doing? Thank you for asking. I'm doing very good. Hey guys, it's me, Daily. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 26 books I want to read in the year 2026. I have 26 books today that I want to read in the year 2026 or prioritize in the year 2026. I highly doubt I'm going to get to all of these. With school and everything and my job, this past year in 2025, I only read like 30 books. 29 books, I think. I didn't even read 30. I don't know, you guys. Stay hopeful. But anyway, let's just get started. I don't want this video to be too long and lengthy. I just want to have fun with it and just tell you all the books I'm thinking about getting around to in 2026. The first book I want to prioritize in 2026 is The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. Alex North is one of my favorite horror thriller authors. I've read all of his books under this name. They're fantastic. Every single time I pick up this man's work, I fall in love. His writing is super complex in my opinion. There's typically 2 to 3 different POVs in his books that you're trying to just follow. So when you first jump into one of his books, it's kind of a lot to take in. This one, I don't even know what it's about. I try to go into his books pretty blind. This, like many of his books, has something to do with a serial killer. So that's all I want to know, honestly. The second book I want to pick up in 2026 is going to be From Here to the Great Unknown. This is by Lisa Marie Presley and Riley Keough, her daughter. I have so many Elvis books on my shelves, but this is one that I definitely want to prioritize this year. This was in the process of being written, I believe, when Lisa Marie Presley did pass away. And then the third book I want to get around to in 2026 is going to be a classic. Okay, I'm not typically a classics girl, but I was talking to my best friend's mom. She mentioned loving this book and that it was a good time, and so I figured, wouldn't it be fun if we could yap about it? Classics intimidate me, and so in 2026 I really don't want classics to intimidate me anymore. I really want to lean towards them. And so this book is Anne of Green Gables. The main character, Anne's an orphan, and she's sent to live off with a new family, so it's kind of just like family dynamics, learning about a new environment kind of situation. Next, I'm not too certain about this one. I don't know what to freaking do with this one. Quite honestly, this is like my last hope for this series, this book, whatever you want to say, this world. But that would be Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is following Selena, I think is how you say her name. And she's trying to gain her freedom from the king. It says, something evil dwells in the castle of glass and it's there to kill. But then Selena realizes that she doesn't have to fight for her freedom, she has to fight for her life. So it sounds really interesting, but the series itself is so long, and I know opinions on this series are really wishy-washy. I have this entire series as well as the whole ACOTAR series, and I haven't ever looked at my shelf and said, I want to read you. So if I don't pick this up in 2026, I think I'm just going to get rid of the entire series. The fifth book I want to read in 2026 is going to be The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Again, a circus that's only open at night randomly appears from town to town. You never know where it's going to happen next or where it's going to pop up next, which is so whimsical and fun. And also behind the scenes of this mysterious circus, there's 2 magicians, one named Marco and the other named Celia, who are competing, but that competition eventually turns into this like romantic relationship. I think it'll be great. That's all I know about this one. It's been on my TBR for a long time, and I just would love to get around to it. Next up is a chunker of a book, but it's a manga, and it's the last one in my Junji Ito collection that I personally own, and that would be Tomie. This one follows Tomie, who is known for seducing men, and those men who are seduced often end up trying to kill her, to get rid of her, but somehow, some way, Tomie keeps coming back to life and returning. It just sounds really eerie and like, what does that even freaking mean? You know, like, what does that mean? Next, I have 2 books that kind of work together. The first one being The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, and then of course, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. So obviously, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is centering around Coriolanus Snow, as he has the opportunity to help train, I guess, one of the tributes for the Hunger Games, the 10th annual Hunger Games. He's pretty disappointed when he gets Lucy Gray, the chick from the 12th district, which is like the lowest ranking district, of course. but they work together, stuff goes down. This one's the Quarter Quell. This is the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games, and this is following Hamish Abernathy. We all know the film is coming out November 20th, 2026. Mark your calendars. To celebrate, they decide to double the amount of names drawn to go into the Hunger Games, and of course, Hamish is a part of that. I've heard this one is extremely depressing and sad and heartbreaking. The next book I want to read in 2026 is a sequel to a classic book I've already read, and that is Go Set a Watchman. This is the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, and obviously kind of a controversial book, but an important one nonetheless. This one is specifically following Atticus Finch 20 years after To Kill a Mockingbird takes place. So this is in the times of the civil rights. And so that's all I really know about this one. I've heard really mixed opinions on it, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it ever. So I kind of just want to get my own opinion on it. I've had this one for years. The next one I want to pick up in 2026 is going to be Pachinko, and this is by Min Jin Lee. And this is another one, kind of big, kind of intimidating. But I recently read like The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and that one also intimidated me. So I'm trying to reach out of my comfort zone and pick up those books that I've been putting off because they're just like scary to me. I don't know why. This one is set in the early 1900s. It says our main character, Sunja, she falls for a stranger. And while he promises her a wonderful life, she is left pregnant and discovers that this stranger is married. So she's heartbroken, but goes off to marry an ill minister and moves to Japan away from everything that she knows. So it kind of just follows her journey in life through love and loss, I suppose. The next one I want to try and get around to is one I've also had, again, on my backlist for so dang long, and that is Mr. Fox. This is by Helen Oyeyemi. I love this cover. In this book, celebrated writer Mr. Fox can't stop himself from killing off the heroines of his novels, and neither can his wife Daphne. It's not until Mary, his muse, comes to life and transforms him from author into subject that his story begins to unfold differently. Meanwhile, Daphne becomes convinced that her husband is having an affair and finds her way into Mary and Mr. Fox's game. And so Mr. Fox is offered a choice. Will it be life with the girl of his dreams or a life with an all-too-real woman who delights him more than he cares to admit? I want to read this one, and I really hope it's something I love because I want to keep it. I'm sorry. The next one I want to read, I was planning on reading physically before the film comes out in March. But I've heard that the audiobook is the way to go with this one, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And this one follows a man, I think a teacher actually, who gets stranded out in space. He's on this mission, but he wakes up, he doesn't know what's going on, everyone's dead, and eventually has to kind of figure out how to save the world or something like that. Science fiction is not really my strong suit when it comes to reading books, and I've heard this book is just fantastic. Everyone loves this book, but I've also heard that the audiobook is incredible, so I'm going to try and go the audiobook route with this one and read it before the movie comes out. The next two books are the finishing books in a trilogy that I started years ago, and that is Children of Virtue and Vengeance and Children of Anguish and Anarchy. These are both by Tomi Adeyemi, and I obviously have read Children of Blood and Bone by her. This was one of my favorite books when I first picked it up. I really just need to owe it. I owe it to her to finish her books because movies are coming out for these things. It's gonna be in 2027. I believe that there's gonna be films out for Children of Blood and Bone. I don't know really what to say about these since they are sequels. We follow 3 different POVs: Zaylee, Princess Amari, and then Anan, Prince Anan, and they're all just kind of doing their thing. I don't know. It's a crazy, chaotic fantasy, like, subplot romance. It was so good. Next up, I really want to get around to some Matt Haig books, and the next two I really want to prioritize in 2026 is going to be The Midnight Library and then The Humans by Matt Haig. I'm so excited. The Midnight Library follows our main character, Nara Seed, and she has lived a life full of regret. And when she dies, she enters this world of like a library. Every book on the shelf is an opportunity for her to make things right and kind of move on without regret. And then of course we have The Humans. This one I heard a booktuber, I don't know who, talking about it. and this one's following an extraterrestrial being who goes to Earth and is kind of just studying humans. This extraterrestrial being takes the form of a professor, and then with time he discovers what there is to love and like about the human species. And so that just sounds so amazing and incredible, and I cannot wait. I can't tell you how excited I am. Next up, I really want to read this one. I DNF'd a couple years ago because it was one of those situations where I felt like I couldn't fully dedicate my time to this book, and that is The City of Dreaming Books. This is by Walter Mowers. The writing in this book is superb, okay? I loved it, and so I really want to make time for it this year because I know I love it so much. This is following our main character, Optimus Yarnspinner, and he inherits a manuscript from his godfather, but this manuscript is unpublished. He reads it, he loves it, and so he travels to the city of Bookholm, which is just, oh, what? The city of Bookholm, which is full of these strange creatures and pickpocketing, like, little things, and, like, so fun. And he's on the lookout to find this mysterious author who wrote this amazing manuscript. And along the way, it's just like you travel into catacombs, and it's so interesting. It's just immersive. It's such an immersive, unique reading experience. This one is another really intimidating one, but I cannot tell you how excited I am for it. And that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is like a magician's going head to head. So this one is huge. This cover, okay, give it a moment. This is stunning. But it's 1800s England, and practical magic has kind of faded away. It's gone. We don't really have it anymore. There's one last, like, magician remaining, and that's Mr. Norrell. He's kind of old, I believe, and grumpy, and he has these magical abilities that he's kind of showing off to people. And he's thriving. He's thriving with these magical abilities that are supposedly gone, okay? But here comes freaking Jonathan Strange, this young, confident magician who also holds magical powers. And so Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell kind of go head to head, and I just can't wait. Like, it just sounds so interesting and so exciting and so fun, and I just know that when I read it, I'm going to be annotating the heck out of it. Tingles. Chills and tingles is what I'm saying. The next book I want to get to in 2026 is wrapping up a duology that I started when the first book came out. I don't know what year it was, a long time ago. And that is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. And I read These Violent Delights. It's a Romeo Juliet 1920s Shanghai retelling following Roma and Juliet, who are part of rival gangs. I don't even know what's wreaking havoc on Shanghai, but it's something, okay? And it was so interesting to read about. I loved it. I gobbled that thing up, and I tapped the frick out of it, okay? And I have the sequel here, and I don't know why I haven't read it yet, because the first book was so absolutely incredible, and somehow I haven't even gotten around to the second. But yeah, I don't really know much about where this one goes. The next one is another one that's massive. It's massive, okay? And I'm really just setting myself up here. Just a little bit over 800 pages is this one. This one sits at just a little bit over 800 pages, and that is Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Obviously, dragons, okay? I really don't know much about this one, and I don't really want to. I just know there's dragons, okay? And I know a lot of people love this duology. The next one I want to get around to is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. This is obviously the start of the Percy Jackson series. This is obviously middle grade, following Percy Jackson. I don't really care to know much more than that. I've already read the first chapter of this book when I first bought it, just to see what it was like. You know, put my toe in the water and test the waters, you know, kind of thing. And I really enjoyed the first chapter. It was crazy. And it was super fun. So I know this one's going to be really fun, and I do plan on reading this one in the month of January if I can make time for it. So that's where I'm kind of sitting with this one. The next book I want to read is going to be another kind of big one, but it's not as intimidating, and that is Paul McCartney, The Lyrics. This one came out many years ago. This book is a collection of all of Paul McCartney's songs, and like him explaining them in depth, and what was the motivation for the song, what did he get out of it. As I read about each song, I want to listen to each song, and so it's going to take a long time for me to get through this one, but I really do want to prioritize it at some point in the year. The next one I want to read is kind of a mystery to me. I don't really know much about it, and it's a Neil Gaiman book, and that is Neverwhere. I've read Coraline by Neil Gaiman, and I have a few other Neil Gaiman books, but this is one I've had for the longest and I haven't read yet. I don't know anything about this one. I don't really want to know anything about it. Hopefully it's better than Coraline. Like, Coraline was not great. And so if this doesn't hit the mark for me, I'm going to be really hesitant to go into any of my other Neil Gaiman books that I own. Another really freaking intimidating book that I've started and DNF'd because I know I don't have the time and energy to get to it just at that moment is House of Leaves. This is by Mark Z. Danielewski. This is huge, okay? It doesn't look too big, but if you take a gander at like the book itself and then, you know, you're looking at the font, this is not an easy book to read. I started it, I got maybe to almost page 100, and I was obviously tabbing this book, and it was so good. One of the kind of plot lines we're following is about a family that moves into a house. The inside is larger than the outside of the house. Huh? I'm sorry, what? The next one I want to get around to is another one. I read a book from this author. It was like the only romance I really felt like I loved. The American Roommate Experiment. I read The Spanish Love Deception when it first came out. Immaculate. So good. And so I really want to follow some side characters from that book. And this one's following Catalina's best friend, Rosie, and then also her cousin, who is Lucas. Rosie is kind of out on her job. She's trying to aspire to be a romance writer, but she's hit a writer's block, and she's just not going through it. Her apartment, like, ceiling collapses in on her, literally, and she has to move out. She's just really in the dumps. Catalina, from the first book, offers Rosie her apartment while she's away, and Rosie's like, sure, thank you so much. But she shows up to the apartment, and Catalina's cousin, Lucas, is staying there. And, you know, by the grace of God, he's like, well, you can stay here, of course, obviously. And in the process, he ends up trying to help her reignite her spark for writing romance novels again and help her write her books by going on experimental dates. So, like, obviously you know where that's going to go. I really hope it's just as slow burn as the first one was. And if I love this, I would love to get around to all the other books I have by her. I just, like, her writing is great. Her writing is great, okay? Sorry, my camera died, so it's like later, but the last book on my 26 books to read in 2026 is going to be Bridge of Clay. This is by Marcus Zuzak. Now, this is one I just bought, just opened up today, actually. You'll see it in a future video. But this one, I don't know what it's about. I don't want to know what it's about. I just know that it follows some brothers who bring each other up in a world run by their own rules. The Dunbar Boys. Marcus Zuzak wrote The Book Thief as well as I Am the Messenger, which are two of my top favorite books of all time. They're both incredible. I Am the Messenger probably tops The Book Thief, if I'm being honest. I can't wait to get around to this one. Anyway, thank you for watching this week's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, liked, commented, interacted with me in any way through my channel. I appreciate every single one of you, and I can't even explain how happy it makes me to just get to talk with people who love books just as much as I do. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on my channel. Bye!